Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us for the Zealed webinar series, Keep Calm and Get Digital. My name is Rhonda and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Every week we are discovering new challenges happening in the marketplace, and we're paying attention to these challenges and designing webinars to help you navigate through. Over the last 6 months, being online and transforming your business to be able to run well online has become more and more critical. Today, our webinar topic is innovative lead generation methods to acquire customers. Our expert speaker today is John Homer. John is an agency director here at Zealed. He has been a leader in the media and digital industry for over 18 years. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience to share. I'm really looking forward to your webinar today, John. Just some housekeeping before I hand things over to John. If you're having trouble hearing, there are some audio settings on the bottom left that you can have a look into just and play around in order to hear. If you've got a question, you can raise your hand. It does bring you live onto the webinar, so just keep that in mind. But feel free to actually put things in the Q&A section after John's presented. We will have a bit of a Q&A session. I have a few questions that we've saved up from previous webinars or from the feedback form that are relevant to this particular webinar, so I will have those at least. But yes, please feel free to put through questions so that we can ask John them directly. Yes, you can raise the hand, and if you've missed something, don't worry, we will be emailing out the webinar to you as a registrant today so that you can rewatch it at your leisure, and also you can refer back to it on our webinar library on our Zealed website. So John, welcome. I'd like to hand things over to you.
Kia ora, Rhonda, and tēnā koutou katoa to all that have attended this afternoon. Let me just see if I can share my screen. Alrighty, I think we're in business. Well, welcome to those who have attended today's session and webinar, which is solely focused on different types and innovative ways to generate and acquire new customers and new leads. First and foremost, I'll just click through. What I'll be covering off today is how people are using search in their time of need, and sharing a few things around where that data is being captured. Also, some important aspects around how we should be preparing quickly, and if you haven't already done so, as a result of alert level, the different alert levels that we've been in recently, how we need to now prepare different solutions or different ways of how to react to the different alert levels that we are in. I'll also be sharing a few different practical guides on how to generate leads and sales, particularly through the 3 different methods, through lead magnets, lead nurturing, and to increase in on those online bookings. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I wanted to cover off was a high-level point of view around how there are different behaviors that Google data have provided us as a result of different markets. First and foremost is that if you're much like my parents and anyone else that is now being forced to go online to look for critical information, and that's mainly because most businesses now are relying on their online presence to be able to get their message across. And so from a consumer and an end user's point of view, assembling critical information and comparing different offers with other different providers has now become the new norm. Everyone wants a deal. Everyone wants to be able to find that they're getting the best bang for their buck. And so more and more end users are now going online, particularly end consumers, assembling critical information. Now, as a result of that, if you cast your minds back to perhaps maybe March and April of this year, um, discovering new connections and nurturing relationships became the new norm. For those 50 plus members of the community, i.e. my parents, who didn't necessarily like tech, they were forced to like it. And that was mainly because, I don't like to say it, but when we were all in Alert Level 4, the only useful tools to our disposal was the online net. And so new connections were formed, nurturing relationships have been the new or the main crux of why tech has now become more powerful than anything else. As a result of the different alert levels that we've been in, mainly Auckland, where we were in alert level 3, adjusting and changing in our routines have now become more important than anything. For those who liked fitness, they now needed to remain at home, or they now needed to book in and book in a spot, or for their health class, or for their gym and aerobic exercise class. Whereas if we go back to alert level now, which is what we're in now at the moment, there's no requirement for that. However, there have been some gyms that I'm aware of that are still following measures in place to ensure that they capture everyone's footprint, everyone that's coming in and out of the gym. So adjusting to the changes into their routines, not only just from a personal point of view, but also from a business point of view as well. And the other thing that data have picked up through Google is praising everyday heroes. Obviously, we are now relying on online more than ever. And so as a result, that seems to be the main source of communication. And so online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest have now become the go-to for praising everyday heroes. And obviously taking care of themselves and others, that's been one of the biggest things around, home exercise routines. All of these different types of things where you're now being able to take care of yourself, even with your mental health. All right. One of the things that we learnt, particularly in Alert Level 4 and Alert Level 3, is that for most businesses, we have had to radically change or pivot. And as a result of that, I just took a little quote from our most recent, or Jacinda Ardern, our PM. Life after lockdown will not be the same. Businesses should prepare now and prepare quickly. Focus on how you plan to operate and or function efficiently or differently under the different alert levels. And I think that's what's become more prominent, is that in alert levels 3, alert levels 2.5, alert levels 2, these different gray areas that from a business point of view, you sort of ask yourself, well, what can we do and what can't we do? And so I think that being in the different alert levels allows each business to be able to put a plan in place to be able to deliver whatever they provide as a service, or deliver whatever they provide as a product in those different alert levels, and understand the different systems and processes that you may need to put in place to achieve the operations part of the business. And so I just wanted to share that with you. And ultimately, this has changed in the way that we now interact with our customers, with our employees, and mainly with our suppliers. This requires a lot of change, and so pivoting and changing can be quite daunting, but we need to prepare now. And for those businesses that have already prepared and put plans in place, well done. For those who are still considering what options to take, then I encourage you to prepare quickly. Amongst all of this preparedness, we need to continue focusing on generating leads. We need to continue building that customer base. and generating on those online sales through through e-commerce, through contactless payment methods, because that's the new norm now. That is the new way of how people want to be doing business. Don't get me wrong, I still go shopping, retail store, and I still like to feel the product and, look at the product and even taste the product. But more and more people now, and in most recent stats, there's been a huge spike in online sales through contactless payment methods for both for any different for every industry, not only just where you would normally get, like for example, apparel, or for example, protein powder suppliers, where that's a normal sort of an online experience, where if someone was to purchase a t-shirt or a hoodie or a pair of jeans or even a jacket of some sort, there is now contactless payments to be able to now purchase a cup of coffee. Yeah. Whereas, you go back 9 months ago, that was never really an option, or never really a way that people of the public would now purchase. Now it's the norm. I was having a conversation with my daughter a few weeks ago, and she said, "Did you know that some people at university at 11 p.m. at night purchase a sundae?" Now the sundae, I think, costs a couple of bucks, but the Uber costs like $5. It's like, how funny is that? People are now utilizing contactless payment with the function and operation of Uber being able to deliver it for them without them not even having to leave their home. And so that's the new norm now. Here's just here's just a practical guide on how to generate leads and sales. One huge part of generating leads and sales is your messaging as a business. And it's the most powerful way of ensuring that any of your clients that you want to inform get the right message across. And so your messaging is really important. The other thing is, what message you tell your audience will also help you retain any existing or potentially capture any new clients. If you think about what we've just experienced in the last sort of 6 to 7 months, it was the businesses that freely gave information that kept people coming back. And so whatever message that you're telling your audience, that you're sharing with your audience, whether it be through your website or other online communication platforms such as social media, if you're pushing a message to them, have the message with the objective of, what message am I telling them, but how can I retain their existing business, and how can I now capture a new client or a new customer. Now let's take a look at your online presence. Obviously, for most businesses, you have a website platform, a central hub of what ultimately holds all of the information of who you are as an entity. Now, for those businesses that perhaps may not necessarily have a website, then I encourage you to jump online to Zeald's website and apply for one of our free e-commerce websites. However, if you do have a website, then there's two aspects to a website that I want to just cover off before I move on. One is A, being promotion, and two is B, being persuasion. Now, the difference between the two is that the promotion part of the website is really the ability of your website to attract the right customers or the right type of visitors that you're wanting. Now, these would be classed as what I would class them as your A and B clients. The two top types of clients that you would want if you've already done a customer segmentation of what types of clients that you would like. These are the top 2 out of the A, B, C, and D clients that you'd be targeting. Now, promotion is the ability of how you attract these type of visitors. Now, persuasion is how effectively you're turning these visitors into your leads or into sales. So if you're a service provider and you provide different types of services, then you would be wanting to generate leads. And so you'd be wanting to, in your mind, think about those top A and B clients. Have you got a message that is really enticing for those particular visitors to be drawn to you? And then are you making it effective for those types of clients to turn into leads? So those are the questions that I want you to ponder about as we go through the remaining slides. Now, for some of you, you might know what website lead magnets are. But essentially if you think about a magnet is something that pulls something towards you, right? Now, what a website lead magnet is it could be in the shape of a number of different things. It could be an exchange of information. So, when someone enters your site, essentially what you're wanting them to do is to enter into a draw. You're offering something for free, or you're offering a free brochure, or you're wanting to capture their details for them to then sign up to your email marketing list. That's generally the main type of lead magnet. What I want to talk a little bit about later on is what are some of the most effective ways of being able to provide the best ways of being able to generate leads through your site. I'll also cover off a little bit about lead nurturing and how this is really effective in the whole lead magnet ecosystem. Obviously, for most of the businesses that are attending today's webinar, each and every one of your businesses would have a conversion pathway. And within that conversion pathway, you'd have points in the conversion pathway where you would want to be able to capture them, or you would want to be able to then provide them more information, or you want to be able to then nail them with being able to entice them with a deal that they then just can't say no to and then purchase. All right, so I'll cover that off a little bit as well. The last piece is around online bookings and around how that really is the main function or the main objective of when you're trying to capture a certain visitor or a particular audience and capture that particular client, and then turning them into an online booking or even into an online sale. I just wanted to cover this part off. Now, for most of us, for most businesses, a lot of you question, well, is it the marketing efforts that you're generating leads from? One, is it matching the return on investment? So if you're investing $1, am I getting $2 back or $3 back? I just wanted to cover this off because this really helps you understand from a lead nurturing point of view what you need to sort of what heavy lifting each of you need to do before looking at the end goal, which is the marketing solution. Now, obviously, if you look at this this pyramid look, you've got 60% which don't have don't know of the problem or are not aware of the problem. 20% are aware of the problem. 17% often research and gather information, and only 3% buy. Now, 3% is a really small number, okay? But what we can take is that most marketing efforts focus only on the 3%, okay? And what I mean by that is that if you're doing any Google AdWords, although Google AdWords are effective, the Google AdWords are really focusing on that 3% that are looking to buy, okay? they will also fall in between that 17%, which is information gathering, because that information gathering would be an end user going to the site, going to Google as the platform to research, searching for, let's just say, for heaven's sake, a plumber. And then Google would then spit out all of the plumbers. And if I was to, put a location in Auckland, it would then spit out and refine how many plumbers on the top 3 or on that first page. And so I would then be an end user that would make a choice and click on one of the 2. But what lead nurturing does is lead nurturing happens, or lead magnets happens to help you achieve getting in front of that 97%. Okay, so that's what I'm going to cover off now. But before I do, before we can provide any real value to a customer, we need to know the customers and what problems that they need help solving. Now, I know that I don't want to be, I don't want to, say anything that I'm like, telling you to suck eggs. But what I am trying to say is that key things we need to be answering is, if you've got a service, does the problem match the service? And if it does, great. The second thing I want to ask is, number 1, keywords, especially when you're thinking of an online, from an online perspective. And this is a really great example here. But are you answering here on fire questions? And what I mean by here on fire questions is that if you had any, if you think about your services that you provide, are you able to answer any here on fire questions from your end clients if you're thinking about those A and B customers? Because it's those A and B customers that you want, and it's as many of those that you want that want the here on fire questions answered. Okay, so if you know those here on fire questions related to your business, because every business owner that's on this webinar today will have different here on fire questions. Okay, but if you know those here on fire questions, then those are the things that you want to be asking as one of your tailored questions that you want to be drawing an end user in once they land on your website. So if you think about a lead magnet, you want to be answering those questions straight away, whether it be a call to action on the site where a button is saying, hey, here, we can answer this question. Is this your problem? Or whatever it might be. Or, hey, if you would like to know the top 4 questions about doing a DIY job, if you're a builder, then click on this for a free brochure. What you're doing here is that you're enabling those A and B clients, or that end user that lands on your site, every opportunity to exchange information. You're wanting them to give them you're wanting them to give you your their email, their contact number, their name. And the reason why you're doing that is so that you can give them a call back, or resubmit another email to them to try to tailor to that separate, different funnel of that 97% that isn't necessarily converting those clients for you. Here's just a few places of how to reach them. Now, for most of you, you might be very familiar with these areas, but answerthepublic.com is a very good way of being able to identify and find out some data around your own industry, but also to understand some here on fire questions. Everyone should be aware of Facebook or LinkedIn. That's a good way of reaching those clients that you can gain feedback from. YouTube video, Amazon books, really based around negative reviews and how you can, objection handle key objections that you might be facing. And Google Trends, for some of you who are not aware, Google Trends is a very good place to go. And if you haven't already used SEM Rush and Google Keyword Tools, that's another place there as well that might need to just be edited there. I should say Google Keyword Tools. So this is just, once again, same thing that I just went through. Content. I just want to cover off, well, what type of content should we be pushing in those messages. Direct response copy is essential. 80% should be value, which is around the answering of the hair on fire questions, proving your industry authority, or building trust and credibility, and 20% should be pitch. So, and the reason why 80% should be value is because you're wanting to try to ensure that you're going to cater for the many different questions or the many different research, because remember, 97% are not in that ready to buy mode straight away. They're all either not aware of the problem, they're aware of the problem, and they haven't really done anything, or they're now ready to do something and they're now researching and gathering information. And so the more that you answer around that value part, it increases the chances of your 3% potentially growing to more. Okay, so less pitch, more value. Okay, go the extra mile. The reason why I think going the extra mile is important is because it's more now more than ever is the best time to build trust and nurture these relationships, especially if you're going to be exchanging information and capturing an online user and their contact details, nurturing that particular client and taking them through a journey, and taking them through your customer pathway and journey to get them to purchase. Do this by providing value and don't expect anything back in return. Here's just an example of a workflow that our marketing specialists sort of follow when putting together a lead magnet. So if you think about an opt-in landing page, now this can be a landing page on your individual websites, or it could be a landing page that we create for you, or it could be a landing page that perhaps you've done through ActiveCampaign or MailChimp or something of that sort. But an opt-in landing page with the email sign-up is the sole call to action focus. The client then gets a welcome email with the lead to the lead magnet. The lead magnet then either provides what you're offering them. So in some cases, if you think about people who are looking for a heat pump of some sort, they might be exchanging their details over for a free PDF of a brochure of whatever the heat pump might be, or it might be an exchange of information of a video tutorial, training, an invitation to a webinar, or a download or a widget. Okay, and then in most cases, good lead magnets often follow up with a survey. So if in your case, if you've attended previous webinars, you would have most likely received a survey, email saying, can you rate the facilitator or whatever it might be. What that does is that it's increasing information for us. So it's providing us with some real critical information so that we can provide the best up-to-date topics for webinars, but it also creates building a relationship of trust with the end user, even if they're first time entering into the site or the 10th time. Okay, and then depending on your conversion pathway, if you think you have more than 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 touch points throughout a customer journey until someone makes a purchase, there can be multiple emails. You can set up these emails every month, every couple of months, every quarter, or even every week. Okay, but you can set up every email with a different value-added content, and then set them out, and then until a sale is made, and then the sales email is then received. Okay, so that's just an example of ideally what a workflow of a lead magnet might look like. Here's just a really good example of what I've just sort of shared with you. Here's the opt-in landing page. So you've got this is Allendale Retirement Village, and in this case, what Allendale Retirement Village is doing here on this particular opt-in page is they're wanting to capture as much information from interested end users that are probably in that 17% trying to gather information and trying to capture their audience by enticing them to say, hand over your details and we will send you an ebook. Okay, so you can see here, request an ebook. The end user puts in their details and then they then get the ebook. Allendale Retirement Village capture the leads details for further marketing too, or further contact. The lead magnet resource that is then provided to the end user is this brochure. So it's a brochure essentially covering everything that anyone considering their loved ones to attend a retirement village would require. And the retirement village brochure is set out based on covering those here on fire questions. Okay, so making sure that whatever you're going to be providing is about giving all the detail, giving all the answers to provide those here on fire questions. Because we'll remember, what we know is that if you're answering those here on fire questions, nothing else matters. What matters is those questions. And so this brochure holds all of that information. Then the final sales landing page. I hope you can see that. I'm not covering it with my video here. But as you can see here, this is the final sales page where it talks in depth about, and I know it may not necessarily, you can see the detail there, but it really outlines credibility and trust, refers back to information that the brochure was talking about, and really covering off on those here on fire questions. Okay, what's the time? Okay, I need to move on. So expert tips here. If you're new to email and lead magnets, there are many low-cost tools out there that allow you to do entire lead magnet process, building landing pages and email automation. MailChimp, one of those. Active Campaign is another. Actually, let me just, before I finish, let me just cover off a few other things. If I go back to this particular page here, from this lead magnet and aligning it to your lead nurturing campaigns or lead nurturing plan, ultimately you're wanting to do a number of things. You're wanting to either gain an online booking, whether that be through a sale or whether that be an online booking of a consultant meeting. But essentially, those are the two objectives that you want to be achieving off the back of this particular strategy. So if you're looking at generating leads, increasing your chances of any audience and end user coming to your site, then look at these particular ways of being able to increase your sales or increase your inquiries through those here on fire questions. So yeah, I'll now end it now quickly and open it up to everyone and hand it back to Rhonda to open it up for questions.
Thanks, John. If you can just finish your share there, we'll go into some questions. If you've got any questions that you'd like You still haven't finished your share. Oh, thanks, John. There we go. We can see you better now. Yeah. So if you've got any questions, please just put them down in the bottom there in the chat or the Q&A section, and I can ask John your questions. But I do have one from, like I said before, a previous webinar or the feedback. I have a few, John, that might be helpful. One was I've seen a variety of lead magnets used online. Is there one that is successful more of the time than another?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I totally agree that there's a variety of different lead magnets used online. These different types of lead magnets like guide reports, cheat sheets, toolkits, video training software. The easiest way to answer that question is really taking it back to your business, thinking about, okay, well, what would suit the objectives that the business is trying to achieve? And for some, and I'll give you an example, for a personal trainer that is trying to increase their amount of clients, video was the best way for them to get their message across. But for some other businesses, video might not be, and so I would always relate it back to what are the main objectives of the business, and look at the different types of lead magnets available. And so write down a list of requirements that your business requires, and then choose and then do a little bit of research on, well, what type of lead magnet would be the best, because these different types of lead magnets: guide reports, toolkits, resource lists, video training software downloading, discounts and free shipping, for protein powder and supplement businesses, or discount and free shipping always goes down a treat. And so yeah, I would say that it really depends on what type of business you're in, what type of service you provide, or what type of products you sell.
Thanks, John. I've got a question here from a listener for the webinar saying, are you aware of any free lead magnet tools that are available off the shelf, e.g. calculators? Custom making curtain lead magnets can be very expensive.
Personally, I don't. I know that there are some, like, I think, when you think about like the likes of Active Campaign or MailChimp, if you're not distributing anything to a huge list, then they can be quite cost effective. And if you haven't already researched that, then that might be an area to sort of maybe go to first. But they often come with a whole bunch of other features, and so that might be a useful area to go to.
I was just having a think though. I mean, that's the calculator side, I think, can be very expensive because there's a lot of usually coding to create those custom calculators. But I was just thinking, if I was a curtain supplier, wanting to sell curtains online, then maybe I would put a lead magnet out for a free measure and quote. So I could come to your house to do the measure and quote. Maybe I would put on a bit of a downloadable resource, and I have to collect their email to get that downloadable resource on how to measure your own space yourself, doing it manually with a tape measure with some diagrams or a video that teaches you how to do it. So yeah, I think maybe the calculators themselves might be quite expensive, an online calculator. But I think you could come up with other lead magnets that aren't needing quite that level of technology online.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Rhonda, in the sense that what you just described there was some hair on fire questions. From a customer's point of view, it can be quite daunting having to sort of figure out, okay, well, I think about my elderly parents. If they were wanting to replace their blinds or whatever it might be, you know, it would be very hard for them to try to get measurements and, well, then try to get the right and correct measurements.
Mm.
You know, and then so by answering those here on fire questions and then drawing that audience or that end user in and capturing that particular client, especially if they're A and B clients, then you're on the right track.
Right. Thank you. If you are giving lead magnets a try, what would you recommend trying first?
Yeah, good question. I think that if you're thinking about lead magnets, what you're wanting to do is capture their details. So capturing their details is the first thing, but then you want to think of, well, why am I capturing these details? Am I going to be sending them something? Do I want to be following up with a phone call? Because it's really around generating information and data, creating your own little database, is really the main goal.
Mm.
So offering them, a special offer to get their contact details often work really, really well. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
yeah, always think about the objective of what are you going to be using this data for.
Right. Um, are lead magnets just for e-commerce sites or just for service-based businesses? So who can use them?
Yeah, really good question. I think both e-commerce and service-based businesses can really add a lot of value by utilizing lead magnets,
Mm.
and the reason for that is because for some e-commerce sites, being able to capture that particular lead's information, even though that lead may have not necessarily purchased something right then and there, you've now got those details to submit along with every other current existing client on your email distribution list. And you might have an email marketing campaign that goes out every couple of months, and now you've just captured this lead. He's now on the next email distribution that you're going to be sending out to clients about a special offer, and he might purchase then. And that the only reason why that lead may have not necessarily purchased is because he was further down the,
Mm.
not really aware of the problem. But hopefully when he gets that email, he's now aware of the problem, and then he gets closer and closer to making a purchase.
Yeah, I think I am a big sucker for e-commerce sites that offer me a discount coupon when I first arrive on them. And so I'm giving my email address so I can get the discount coupon. And then I often forget, because I'm just browsing, looking for a product, but then in my inbox comes a reminder that this coupon's still there or has an expiry date. And I go, oh, that's right. So I'll go back to the site and keep browsing, and often it can help generate a return as well. That continuing, well, and that's what it's all about, right? Is being able to still present your site to someone because you've gathered in their information, and the chances of me using and remembering to use that discount coupon is often quite low. So it's you've gathered this valuable email at the same time. I've got another question. One last one that I've got, John, is when it comes to doing coupons. Oh, look, here's a coupon question. When it comes to doing coupons as a lead generation tool, are there rules around how much the coupon should be, or anything like that, in order to make it successful?
No, there's no real rule around it. It really just needs to work for you as the business owner. I mean, you don't want to be giving things away for free if it's going to cost you something, right? And so I would always think about, well, is it affordable? And what incentive are you actually giving the client? And is that incentive answering one of those here on fire questions? Meaning if cost was an issue, then knocking 10% off whatever it might be that you're offering often now then becomes attractive. And so it needs to ensure that you're not replacing a coupon with value, though. I think that's what you don't want to try to get into, where you're then replacing the coupon, but with the value that you actually provide.
Mm.
So making sure that it really works for you as the business owner and that you're not forking out, and covering costs where it's not needed. I think that's what I would probably say.
Great. Thank you, John. I really appreciate your insights today. It's been really helpful.
Awesome.
Just in summary, COVID-19 has escalated the rate of businesses operating online. It has also escalated the number of consumers wanting to do research and transactions online. There is a big opportunity to be part of this online transformation, but you will need to do it well in order to be successful. Those businesses that engage with their customers through value-adding lead magnet techniques will get the best success. And we recommend that you do some research into your clients' hair-on-fire questions as the first step, and then develop value-add lead magnets that resolve those questions. Zealed has helped over 15,000 businesses transform digitally over the last 20 years. Zealed provides services through the Regional Business Partners Program, and we also provide a free strategy or website audit session with our team of experienced digital business strategists. Zealed launched our Get E-commerce movement to help Kiwi businesses to get online as soon as possible. And this is where we're giving away free e-commerce sites to help people get online quickly and be successful. You can go to zealed.com for more details about how to get online quickly. Our next webinar will be on Wednesday, the 28th of October at 2 p.m. Our topic is Top E-commerce Technologies Powering Successful Business in 2020. Our industry is one of the most fasting and changing ones around, so you have to keep up to date with technology. The best e-commerce technology allows you to operate online with ease. Choosing the wrong one can seriously hold you back. So join us as we uncover some of the most popular e-commerce website technologies in 2020. Along with giving you some tips to help identify the right technology for your business. We have a library of webinars full of great help. So please just go to zealed.com if you want any access to those past webinars and to share them with others. We're just all about trying to help New Zealanders do well online. I want to give John a really big thanks for your expertise and support today and your wisdom.
Thank you.
And we wish you all a good week and look forward to seeing you all next week. Good luck.
Ka kite.